Hello, Joseph. How are you?
I'm good. It's nice to sit down with you this morning.
Nice. I'm very thankful. And so you have written some books about marketing and branding and sales and business, and you have this idea that brands could benefit from startups and vice versa. What's this about?
Well, the whole idea of connecting Madison Avenue and Mountain View, in other words, the worlds of marketing, advertising, branding, creativity, storytelling, with the world of technology and entrepreneurship, and this whole incredible startup culture, to me, it's part of a vision that the future of marketing is through technology. That if marketing and advertising doesn't embrace and incorporate technology, it will cease to exist. It will cease to be relevant anymore because consumers today want and need and interact everything through digital means and digital mediums or methods. And so I looked at the brand world, and the brand world is continuing to struggle to be relevant and break through the clutter and think about new ways to engage. If you think about it, from the world of analog to digital, from television, radio and print to digital, to social, to mobile, to all of these emerging platforms right now, it's just becoming harder and harder to understand which method to use and when and how much, etc., and also recognize that consumers are empowered and want to interact and want to touch and feel and give feedback and so on and so forth. And so I looked at the incredible startup culture, and here's the thing. 97% of startups will never get fully funded. They will go out of business. They will run out of funding, and we can change that. Brands can save and revive and motivate and supercharge startups, not just to survive, but to thrive. We have a saying, which is that every viable startup has a brand soulmate. Just got to find that soulmate out there and then figure out how to work together. And so the big vision here was, if we can bring brands to the table early on, early stage collaboration with early stage startups, the startup will have almost a good unfair advantage to be able to now grow, knowing all that information that they might never have had the opportunity to find out. Get all of that knowledge and intelligence up front and feedback from the brand. The brand becomes a partner.
Does it make sense to say this is sort of the big companies and the very smart branding and marketing teams learn something from the very young geeks and their lean startup models? Is this emergent culture of doing websites and mobile apps better, or the missing part in the marketing teams and branding teams?
I think very possibly, and I think that we're doing a program now with a brand who may or may not be seated at this table, and I can tell you that's the intrigue. And I can tell you, like Seth Godin spoke about the unleashing the idea virus. I'm seeing the change. I'm seeing the cultural transformation. I'm seeing the fact that startups can teach, and this is the important thing, startups can teach brands and brand managers to move quicker, to adapt, to pivot, to embrace failure, or at least to fail fast, or what I call failing smart, to tolerate risk differently. Speed to market is absolutely critical, and we're learning all of this from entrepreneurs and startups and startup founders. And it's important. Why? Because our consumers live this way as well. So if we want to stay connected with our consumers, one way to do it is by embracing the world that these consumers live in, which is the world of technology and mobile and so on and so forth.
Do brands know how to do this? Like, is there a method? Is there a book about this for the brands?
In terms of a playbook, the short answer is no, but they're learning, and certainly that is, that's why I started Evolution, is to be able to bring this service, through what we call brand watch and brand match to brands to help them think differently about innovation. The unsexy way of talking about it is technology solutions to business problems. Come to me with a business problem, and I will give you a technology solution, specifically through startups. So this idea of what is innovation? Innovation is, the definition of innovation is different approaches that achieve different results, or that achieve results. So it actually, if you think about it, it was Einstein who said insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Well, innovation is doing different things to get a result. So innovation is the antidote to insanity.
Yeah, so we have Einstein saying it's very healthy for brands to do something with startups. And I mean, is this a question? So what's next? What can we expect to see like this year in New York or in Brazil, or what other countries are we going to? What's coming from this?
Well, the first thing is it's not a one-trick pony anymore. It's not just Silicon Valley. It's New York. It's Brazil. It's Israel. It's Shoreditch in the UK. It's Berlin. There are so many, Ukraine, there are so many amazing hubs now for startup activity. And I think we're celebrating the makers and the content creators and the entrepreneurs all around the world. So the revolution, has begun, and it will not be televised, as a famous line goes from the song. So I think that what comes next is to figure out what this business model looks like specifically for brands. What percentage of a budget should a brand spend on innovation? How do you measure it? How do you track it? How do you scale it? How do you make sure that when budgets get cut, innovation is the last budget to be cut, not the first? But ultimately, this is all about, I think, I said yesterday in my presentation here, what is the ROI of survival? You can't put a price tag on it. It's priceless when you think about survival of a brand, survival of a business, survival of an industry. So I think that what comes next is our ability now to mainstream and figure out how to mature this bridge between Madison Avenue and Mountain View, and create more success stories and best practices and guides, and make this the norm, not the exception. But I will say, for the brands that are first to market, you will be the exception, because you will be exceptional, and you will reap the rewards of being there first. So go for it.
So marketing can be done differently, and does the brand change with this too? Is that the underlying meaning of this all? The brands are transformed through marketing?
I think so. Whether it's brands, brand building, branding, the way that brands are valued and qualified and monetized, brand equity is absolutely, changing to be an open brand, to be an innovative brand, to be look at Nike. Nike is the perfect example of a brand that is transforming, with their fuel bands, with their fuel band. Nike is a technology company now. They're not a footwear company, with their apps. As I was saying yesterday in my presentation, when I go for a run and I post my run on my Nike running app, it posts to Facebook. And if you like my post on Facebook, I hear a cheer in my ear in real time. So I'm busy running in Westport, Connecticut, where I live, and I can hear the crowd cheering. Someone around the world is cheering me on. And then afterwards I go back to Facebook and I see who it was, and I thank them for helping me. And I tell them, I was like, I got that cheer at the perfect time. I was going up a hill. So you tell me, am I going to give my business to Nike or to Adidas or Reebok? It's a different dynamic. There is the product itself. There is the advertising, that's the old school. Now you have service and experience, that's what I spoke about yesterday with Flip the Funnel, but also innovation that comes through a transformation of how brands build relationships with customers. So I sure hope so.
And do you believe startups from one country can help brands based in other countries? Like, could Brazilian startups do something for North American brands, for example?
Absolutely. There is no question. We actually did a program earlier this year with a startup called SwitchCam and Skoll here in Brazil. So the boundaries and the borders and the geographies aren't as much of a restriction or an impediment as they used to be. But for sure, language and culture are important ingredients. But it is, I mean, look at us. Here we are, South African living in America, talking to Brazilians, I mean, the what do they call this? IBM once said it's a small planet. And I think we really are seeing that the startup movement is a global movement.
Okay, Joseph, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.